So again, who's excited to get uncomfortable? Answer carefully, right? All right, so this is not your traditional message. What this is going to be a conversation. So as I go forward, what I want you to do is I'm going to give you several points to pause during the message, and I want you to look back over your last year, and I'm giving you specific timelines such that you can look back over your life, okay? The parts of your life that you can look over are your work, right? And I will call out even secular parts of your life, not just spiritual parts of your life. Your work, your relationship with God, your relationship with people, right? Your family, your physical and your mental health also. So these are all the spaces of your life that I want you to look back on when I ask you to pause and think, right? And we're going to come to those. So I'm going to start with two stories to get to the point. I think you guys have a hint of what we're talking about, and all of you look fairly uncomfortable, so I've done a good job, right? But let's get to it. Here's the first one. How many of you know Will Smith? The actor, the Hollywood actor Will Smith. Anybody? Few people? You're going to enjoy it nonetheless, but Will Smith, yeah. All right, so I have one story from him and then one story from me, and then we're going to get to the point, all right? Let's go.
Skydiving is a really interesting confront with fear. I gotta stand up, I'm sorry, I gotta stand up. You go out the night before and you take a drink with your friends and somebody says, yeah, we should go skydiving tomorrow. And you go, yeah, we'll go skydiving tomorrow, yeah, yeah, and you go, yeah, and everybody goes, yeah. And you go home, you by yourself, you're like, Right, you're like, well, I mean, they was drunk too. So then that night you're laying in your bed and you just keep, and you're terrified. You keep imagining over and over again jumping out of an airplane and you can't figure out why you would do that. So you get there and then you have this safety brief and you're standing there and the guys will tell you, well, if the chute doesn't open, what's gonna happen is well, why the hell, what could happen? So you get onto the airplane and you're sitting there and you know, it's extra because you're sitting on some dude's lap, some stranger, trying to make small talk. Yeah, man. So you be jumping with people all the time, huh? So you fly and you go up to 14,000 feet and somebody opens the door. And in that moment, you realize you've never been in a freaking airplane with the door open. Terror, 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 terror. And then people start going out of the airplane. And the guy walks you up to the end of the thing, and you're standing and your toes are on the edge, and you're looking out down to death. They say, on 3. 1. 2, and he pushes you on 2 because people grab on 3. And you fall out of the airplane, and in 1 second, you realize that it's the most blissful experience of your life. You're flying. There's zero fear. You realize that the point of maximum danger is the point of minimum fear. The lesson for me was, why were you scared in your bed the night before? What do you need that fear for? Everything up to the stepping out, there's actually no reason to be scared. And then in that moment, all of a sudden, where you should be terrified is the most blissful experience of your life. And God placed the best things in life on the other side of fear.
Right, and there's one person in this room who is still on this side of fear, and it's me, right? Because I hate standing in front of people and talking, right? And who here enjoys public speaking? Anybody? Yeah, neither do I, right? And why I tell this is because this brings me to the second story, right? That's a photo of me. Can anybody guess who the other person is? The other person is Mr. Ravi Shastri. Who knows Ravi Shastri? Yeah, I got a call. I got an opportunity at work I got a call one day from my boss, right? Right, and the ask was, would you like to interview Ravi Shastri at our conference? Right, and just for context, for who doesn't know Ravi Shastri is, he was the Indian cricket coach. He's about 50 plus. He's about, I think, 6.2 feet tall. All right, and he's a legend. All right, on top of that, throw in 500 people in the audience. All right, and that is an opportunity that I thought I can't give up. But in that moment, I was crippled by fear, because I'm not really good at it, or I hate speaking or being in front of people, right? Especially talking, it's like hands sweaty and shaking, etc. All of it, the whole set, everything you guys can imagine, right? And yet, in that moment, I said, this is not something I can give up, and the only way to move forward from this point is to face it, right? And so I said yes. And here's the more fun part: I don't even watch cricket. I know nothing about cricket. So I had to research on top of it and hope that I don't make a mistake on stage while asking or responding to him. Right? And that is the photo of how it sort of went about. The beginning was what, in fact, like in the movies, they say, even though the beginning is harsh, the ending is nice. This wasn't the case. I had quite a harsh beginning here too. Right? The first 2-3 minutes were quite off. But it ended on a beautiful note and everybody remembered it, right? And this opportunity would not have been possible if I did not decide that in that moment, I'm going to get past this discomfort, right? And the only reason I knew in that moment that I have to do this is because one of the biggest teachers in my life personally has been discomfort. If I can pick up, if I find those moments where I'm uncomfortable, right, and somebody has asked me to do something, or I need to stop doing something and I hate the thought of it, it's most likely that something good is on the other side of it. Right? And so that brings us to our main idea sort of today, which is discomfort is the doorway to divine destiny. Right? So 3 words: that discomfort, which is, now here's where we start our thinking part, right? Which is, discomfort is which are those moments in your life, if you like Pastor Subhi actually touched quite well on a few of them, saying discomfort can be something as small as, I really don't feel like waking up. That's my problem. I love sleeping, genuinely, right? And waking up on time for something important, for example, or it can be something as big as, I need to step up at work, right? Discomfort comes in all shapes and sizes, right? And it comes usually in 3 ways. This is the pathway to it. Is God will call you to do something, and what that will feel like to you is it will feel uncomfortable. It'll feel like you need to step out of your comfort zone, right? It may not always look like, he's not going to call you on the phone, and it's not going to feel like a call. It will, when natural creatures were living on this earth, it's going to feel like something in your life. Either Pastor Sovi will call you and say, can you please preach this week, which is what happened with me this week, right? And or it can be something smaller at work. Somebody wants you to step up, right? Take up a bigger responsibility, and you're like, why? I'm not getting paid more. Why should I do it, right? Or it can be something with a friend or a family member where there has been unforgiveness, and it's a very uncomfortable conversation to have, right? And you're uncomfortable. So God calls you to do something, right? And then when we step into that, He stretches us. And that is the hard part, right? He really stretches you, and you're going to hate it in the moment, right? And finally, the outcome is God shaping you, right? And God shaping you comes in 2 ways. Not only have you achieved success in the outcome, which is you are better off, you have either learned something new from it, but your character is developed through the process, right? And so the big question for all of us to answer right now is, and something I hope all of you are asking, is why should I put myself through discomfort? Life is, I can just have what is the phrase? I can have a nice, happy life, chill, right? Why put myself through discomfort? I'm going to give you 5 reasons, right? And at each of the 5 reasons at the end, right, I want you to introspect. What's very important is not anything I'm saying here. What's important is you can identify 4 to 5 decisions in your life or 4 to 5 moments in your life over the past 1 year where you were faced with this opportunity or faced with this situation or faced with this reason for you to say no. Most often that reason, that situation that you're going to think about will be like you would have said no at the end of it. Is everybody clear? Following? Right? So the first one is discomfort reveals your calling. Yes, that is Moses on the left, right? And what this means is, who here feels like they've not yet found their purpose? Like you were meant, I'm sure a bunch of prophets have prayed on you, a bunch of pastors have prayed on you and told you you are intended for big things. Have you felt that way? But you still feel like, it's not come, like what am I missing? Like is there something more to this? Like why does it feel like I'm stuck? Right? And when I say purpose, I don't just mean spiritual purpose, right? I don't mean it becoming a pastor or a spiritual leader or a counselor. I also mean your purpose in life. A career that you are pursuing, that should I go down this career path or should I go down that career path? Am I in the right job? Right? And the moments, if the answer does not lie in you proceeding as is, there's a word in English called status quo. It is not in the status quo. It is not in as things are. Your answer or your calling that is revealed will always come in the moment when you put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, right? When you step outside of what's comfortable to you, right? If anybody can name one person who changed the world while being comfortable, let me know, right? Nobody did, right? And a great example from the Bible is Moses, right? I just want, everybody knows Moses' story. I'm sure a lot of people have said it. Let us do the reverse. Let us flip if Moses said no, what happened? What would happen if Moses said no in that moment? I'm sure God would find somebody else, but if Moses said no, he would not find his divine calling of leading the entire Israelites out of Egypt, right? Pharaoh would not have been put in his place, right? And an entire generation of people was dependent on him. The Israelites were dependent on him saying yes, right? So the question to ask today is, if you feel like in this moment, I want to take that next step, I want to figure out what I want to do, I want that big answer in my life, or if you have these big questions, saying, am I in the right career? Again, this is not just about spiritual, it's about all parts of your life. Or does God want me to do something more, take a bigger step forward, right? You will only know once you say yes and take that step forward, just like Moses did. Moses was not comfortable, like it seems like everybody has public speaking issues because even he didn't want to go and speak to Pharaoh, right? And even he was not comfortable. In fact, I think he stopped God, 4 times. He said 3 or 4 times, he said, I can't do this, I'm not capable of it, right? And it comes in all different shapes and sizes, our excuses. Sometimes it comes as an excuse, sometimes it comes as procrastination. If you're thinking about times in your life when you have said no, now add to the list. Think of all the times you said, I'll do it tomorrow. That is also fear or discomfort, or you evading discomfort in action. It's just we don't realize it. Right? So think of all the times that मैं कल करूँगा, and I'm completely okay if it's even something like you having to go to the gym, right? Because habits, we're human creatures, habits are built across our life, right? And so what I want you to remember is, if you really want that step up, the first place you're going to find it is in the discomfort. If you want to, that's a big sentence, you don't want to change the world from a place of right? You don't change the world from a place of discomfort, but you definitely don't change yourself from a place of discomfort either, right? And if you want to see that step up, I assure you it lies in the next uncomfortable thing that you've said no to, right? So this is your first pause moment, which is to sort of think back at those moments where, and I'll tell you what these decisions might feel like, or these situations might feel like. Can you go to the previous slide once? This should work, 1 second. All right, this is now okay. What these situations will feel like when you're thinking about them in your head right now is, most probably somebody asked you to step up, right? Most probably somebody asked you to do something that you're not familiar with, that you feel like you don't have the skills for. This is what that moment will feel like when you're looking back on your own life. It'll feel like it's something that's rare to you, something that's a step up to you that you have not done before. It may be at work, right? It may be, for example, in church, right? To step up and take a higher position that may require more time investment, more effort investment, right? Those are the moments of discomfort, right? So this is the first one. The second one is discomfort stretches faith. Everybody knows the Peter story. Peter stepping out onto the boat. Yeah. Right, and I do implore you to think about sort of imagine all the stories we're going to go through, we're going to reverse them, all right? We're going to not see they did it in the Bible, what if they didn't do it, right? We're going to reverse it, and we're going to say, what if Peter did not step out onto that boat, out of that boat, right, onto the water? That's what those, once you step into into the act, what you're going to feel like is you're being stretched, right? And you're going to feel uncomfortable, and you're going to feel like, why am I being put through this, right? But let me assure you that that is your faith in action, right? That is your faith actually being tested and grown. And just like Peter, you know, he had step one where he stepped out onto the water and then he got scared and then he started sinking, right? So this is the second important thing about discomfort, and I'm calling out these moments because should you, after this message, go and decide to do something that made you uncomfortable, I'm telling you this is going to happen, right? You're going to have your faith stretched. It's not going to be only at the point of the decision, right, when you're going to have a hard time. Once you take that decision, then the actual hard part starts, right? Which is, for example, if you have dedicated some time to the church, saying, okay, I will come and lead a cell group, for example, right? That means every Wednesday or every Thursday evening for 2 hours for at least 1, 2, 3 years, you are investing that time. And sometimes you're not going to feel like it, right? You're just going to be uncomfortable and you're going to say, no, I really don't want to do this. And that is the stretching of your faith, saying, this is when I will step up, and this is when I will put faith to not, as Pastor Subi beautifully put it, this is my will. My will is, I really don't want to do it. And that's the most, I think, the most human emotion, to say, I don't want to do it. The third point, right? The third reason why discomfort is critical, right? And this is discomfort almost in the other sense. It's discomfort in the sense of this, that's Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, of course. He had to make a sacrifice unlike any other. He sort of had a really hard time accepting what was ahead of him despite being Jesus, right? And he said, not my will, but your will be done. And this will was the sacrifice of himself for the rest of the world, right? Now that's a big moment. We don't have to do big moments like that, thankfully, right? We have to do small moments. And here, this point is in fact not, I'm not asking you to step into a big situation that you said no to. All I'm asking you to do is think back. Pastor Subi made a wonderful point earlier when he said, saying no to sin, right? Saying no to sin is where obedience is important. Not my will, but your will be done, right? And saying no to a habit that you have, or a sin that you have, or something that other people don't know about, and you are okay with it because you've been doing it for so long. That's where obedience comes in, and it's the most, I'm telling you immediately, the result that's going to be out of it is discomfort. You're going to be uncomfortable for a good period of time, right? But that is why obedience is greater than comfort. Is everybody with me? Yes, no, clear, right? So the third one is obedience is greater than comfort, and obedience often here means getting rid of a sin in your life that's comfortable and exciting and fun. Yeah. In Hebrews 12:2 it says, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith, for the joy set before him, he endured the cross, right? Scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. My question to you is, in this moment, again, reflection moment, right, that we've been doing all of these, I hope you've started identifying a few moments in your life, a few situations in your life. It could be situations where you need to do something, or situations where you need to stop doing something. It could be either, right? And I do believe this message will have landed home. If you even identify one place in your life where you just decide, I need to stop doing this or I need to start doing this, right? And so this is the case of what do I need to, what are those moments that will make me uncomfortable, but I will land up being obedient to God, right? And it will be uncomfortable, I promise you, right? But that's really where the growth lies after, right? Can we go to the next slide? Here's the fun part. This is basically the story of my life, it feels like sometimes, right? Where God cares more about the fourth reason why this is important, why discomfort is important, is because in the discomfort, and I'll repeat it, in the discomfort is where your character and who you are and how you handle tough situations gets developed, right? Let me explain that. You guys know Joseph's story? Everybody knows Joseph's story, right? Joseph, let's visualize it a little bit. There's this young boy. What number brother was he? Anybody? What number? How many brothers were there? And what number was he? He's not allowed to answer. Anybody else? He was the 11th brother. Okay, now imagine you are the 11th brother in 12 brothers. And you go back saying, I'm going to lead you guys. My star was bigger than yours. How will you respond to this guy? Everybody with me? If Joseph, everybody remembers what Joseph did, right? He had 2 amazing dreams, etc. And then he showed up to his brothers and be like, oh, I had this dream where, you guys will be worshipping me. How would you feel being his elder brother? I wouldn't take it if Daniel did that to me, right? And this is where this is where Joseph started, a sort of a young man, right? Undeveloped, raw, right? And God had a big plan for him, but he was clearly not ready for it, right? And that's where everybody familiar with the Joseph story, right? Okay, fantastic. So I've been calling out one format that happens. God calls you, God shapes you. God calls you, God stretches you, and then God shapes you, right? Right? And that is exactly what you see here. He was called, Joseph was called, he was really stretched, and that's where the character transformation happens, right? And then he was finally shaped into his end goal, right? That's his story, basically, you can see illustrated out. But my ask to you is, that is, if you ever felt like, what is stopping me? What is holding me back? Right? And especially when it comes to seeing a blind spot in your own eye, when it comes to your personality or your character, it is these uncomfortable moments that sort of build those big moments of character in you, right? Whether it's humility or integrity. These are the things that Joseph learned not when he was in the palace, not when he was sitting in his father's house, right? But he learned it when he was in the pit, he learned it when he was in the prison, right? So here's a pause moment again. I hope we're making progress with sort of reflecting back on our lives and saying, have I given up such opportunities? Are there places in my life where there is sin that I'm not being obedient and being uncomfortable to and shutting it down? Right? So this is another pause moment. And with each point, I hope to convince you further that it is time to catch that, even if it's one. It could be a lot more, and we'll talk about it. It could be a lot more, but now is the time to stop, think back, and sort of decide that this is what I want to either step into, right? And I've been evading it for a long time, right? Or it's something I need to step out of, right? And in both cases, you're going to be very uncomfortable. And that's what I want you to embrace, that discomfort, right? Can we go next? And here's the good news, the fifth and final good news for why you should be uncomfortable. The first 4 reasons were great reasons that benefit all of us. But the question is, once I'm in it, then what? Right? And the best part is, once you decide to take that big leap of faith, right, that hard moment where you have to stop something, right? The good news is that God doesn't remove the fire, right? He will not take you out of the situation. You need to be uncomfortable. What he is telling you is that he's going to be with you in it. Right? He's not promising a nice, happy, dandy life. He's promising you his presence and that he's going to be with you when you have those hard times, because I gave you 4 important reasons why the hard times are important, why the discomfort is important, right? We know the story of Daniel, etc., and his friends, right? And they so clearly refuse to bow. Just imagine how uncomfortable all these moments were. What I want you to reflect on is how uncomfortable. I mean, this is interestingly a interesting representation of our political situation possibly today, right, or what it could be. So it's a good reference for us to have for what it must have been like in the old times. Just imagine 3 men refusing to bow to a king of that point, right? How uncomfortable do you think that moment must be? Was it easy? Do you think it was easy? I know when we read it like in the Bible, like just as a sentence, it feels very like, yeah, they said no, right? But just imagine what they must have been feeling in that moment when they said no to the king at that point, saying, we will not bow. Do you think that was an easy ask? Right? I don't even know if I would like, you should contrast it actually to you today in a similar place, thinking, would I really be able to say no? Would it really be smart to say no? Those are good questions to ask, right? And they were thrown into a furnace, right? And this is, of course, a more literal example where God literally showed up in the furnace, right? And there was deliverance. But I want to assure you today that even though it was literal there, here as well, the moment you take that step to step into something that makes you uncomfortable, or step out of something, step out of a sin, and you're uncomfortable because that was the way of life, that was something that you enjoyed, right? God is with you through that moment. And what that really means is it takes your success. What does God being in it mean really? It means it takes your success probability from 50% to 100%, right? That of you getting out of that, right? And so the follow-up that if I was sitting there, that I would have asked, what would I have asked if I saw all of this? I said, okay, so now what do I do? I'm convinced that that I should go after that uncomfortable situations are important for me. What should I do? Can we go to the next slide? So yeah, what do we do with discomfort? Just 1 second. Yeah. The first one is lean into it, don't run from it. Can I get a yes? Yes. How uncomfortable are we agreeing with this? Because here if you say yes, you don't do it later, there's no point. The first one is, in fact, before lean into it, what I want you to think about is what are these moments? I say this only because I'm able to say it with so much conviction, only because it happens with me so much. And I know exactly how easily our thinking patterns are tuned to saying no, or tuned to saying tomorrow, or tuned to being like this doesn't make a difference to my life. I mean, like things are good, why mess? Another good line is, why mess with something that's working? If anybody's heard that line. So the first one is, I want you to, let's add a step 0 before this, and I really want you to reflect, and that's what I've been asking you to do through this message, which is I want you to reflect and think, what are those moments in my life that have already happened? In the future, they're going to happen for sure. But what are those moments in my life that have already happened over the past year that I have said no to? Because they were uncomfortable, because it required me to step up, it required me to put more time, it required me to put more energy, it required me to go talk to someone new, and I don't like that, right? So what are those moments, number 1, right? And I hope by this point you have identified 1 or 2 or 3, right? And I'm not going to ask you to say them aloud, so please be honest with yourself in catching them out yourself, right? So number 1, lean into it, don't run from it. The second is, there will be a stretch, right? The moment you say yes, there will be a stretch, except that it's going to be there. It's not a case of I stepped into it and it got comfortable, I stepped into it and now it's uncomfortable, and then I did it for 1 week and I did it for 2 weeks and I did it and now I'm tired. Okay, I tried, it didn't work, I'm sorry, bye. What I want you to really understand is that I'm assuring you that the moment it starts getting uncomfortable, the moment you step into this discomfort, right, it's going to stretch you. It's going to stretch you to the point where you feel like, it honestly, if I have to be very honest, it'll be like, is God even looking? Is he even bothered? It will feel like that, right? And that's what the point of faith is, because we start relying on God not when we're happy, we start relying on God when we need things, right? And the most important, of course, through the process is then you reach a point where like, is somebody even looking? And that's when you remember, right, that God is with you in it. You're not fighting this battle alone, right? But I think, is everybody clear why the five reasons why everybody is why discomfort is important in your life? Why should you bother seeking out uncomfortable situations and going after them? Is everybody clear? Yes? Is everybody clear what we should do with it? So let's do, let's visualize what this looks like, right? Let's visualize what does it actually look like to lean into it and not run from it, to let discomfort really deepen your faith, and to remember you're not actually alone in it, right?
Musician boy is here.
Shepherd, what a surprise. Are you here to play for me?
I'm here to fight for you.
Forgive us. Lord King, my brother can be foolish and rash.
I will fight the giant!
Let him speak.
My king, I will fight the giant.
You are only a boy. You cannot fight him.
Your servant has kept his father's sheep for many years. In that time, I have killed both bear and lion.
That's enough.
When the lion attacked my flock and rose against me, I went after it, caught it by its beard, struck it, and killed it.
That's true, my king. He did.
Abinadab,
What? I always believed
you
it.
are not helping.
This giant blasphemes the Lord of hosts. But the same Lord who rescued me from the lion and the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine.
That monster is a man of war. He was made for this.
I was made for this moment. Trust me, my king. I will slay him.
You speak with a great conviction. It fills me with a courage I've not felt since.
Father.
Go.
My king. My king.
Go.
My king.
Let's go.
My king.
Go.
I will slay him, my king.
Go.
Get away from me.
Go and fight this giant. Fight him with the same spirit you bring into this room.
My king, we should discuss this.
Why? I have decided. No other man has volunteered for this task. I name you champion. Give him my armor. You should wear the king's armor on the field. Go.
Thank you, my king.
How uncomfortable do you think that was for David? This was not even the uncomfortable part. The uncomfortable part was after this. This was the easy part for him. Right? He had to step. He was a shepherd all his life. He had a bunch of big, massive men around him who were used to fighting. I'm not talking about Goliath, I'm talking about his counterparts. Right? And he, in that moment, imagine how terrified he was. There's a scene later where somebody asked him, how are you feeling? And he said, I'm terrified. Right? And there's a scene later that also somebody asks him, Jonathan asks him, why that man is a war machine or something like that, he says. And he replies saying, don't look at the greatness of the problem. Right? Look at the greatness of our God. Right? So, can we go to the next slide? So today I just want to implore you to sit and think back. I hope the moments I've put you through, right, over the last half an hour or so, and you've had some thoughts, right, about what are those moments in your life where you've held back and you've sort of hesitated, you've sort of said, not today. You've leaned back from stepping into God's will, maybe, right? And what I've made I've tried to make it easier here, and I've sort of tried dividing it across your life, right? Maybe it's a point in your calling with God, in your relationship with God, right, where you believe that you've been in the church for a while and it's time for you to step up. Maybe you believe that or let's take a step back. Maybe in your daily walk with God, right, you believe that you're slacking and you're just not doing it. And I'm opening the Bible one day, and then another day I had to go to work early, so I didn't open it. So I just left it. Or it's something like I'm praying on a few days and I'm not. It could be something small like that, and you have to get yourself earlier, right? Your calling, in your call, when I say calling, I mean your relationship with God. Think back to those moments. Think back to those moments where there was an uncomfortable moment in front of you that you didn't want to put yourself through. Which ones of those are they, right? Of course, the other one is your relationships with people and with your family. Is there somewhere you should be investing more time? Is it maybe calling your parents more often, right? Is it something as small as a fight that you had with your father or your mother or your brother that you refuse to sort of solve because like he was wrong, right? Or is it something at work where you saw an opportunity to step up, right? And nobody asked you, you just saw that this would be a good place for me to like step up and do something more or learn a new skill, and you're like, life is good right now, right? It could be with your health, with your physical health, with your mental health, both of those things, right? Of course, it could be with your passions. God has given us gifts for a reason. Somebody here will be good creatively. Somebody good here will be good with numbers. Somebody will be good here with dancing, right? And God has given these gifts to glorify Him. Are you really doing justice to them? Are you taking them forward? Right? These are 5 areas of your life that you can reflect on. Some will have 1, some will have 2, some will have 3, right? And the question I want to ask you, I want you to ask yourself is, are you going to sit and be Saul, who sat for 40 days and did nothing? Or are you going to stand and be a David, right? And put yourself in an uncomfortable situation knowing that you're going to be stretched, but you're going to be out for the better, right? So I hope you guys have thought through some of this. What I want you to do is, if everybody could just close their eyes, right? And whoever has found a moment like this in their lives, and don't be bothered about anyone around you, right? Whoever has actually genuinely found a moment in their life where they've caught that moment there where they knew they should be uncomfortable, God is calling them to do something, or they're seeing an opportunity for them to step up, and they have evaded it because they don't want to be uncomfortable. You found that moment, and today you've decided that you want to do something about it, right? You want to take that big step, that leap of faith, right? You want to put yourself through the discomfort, and if you have found it, in your place, I just want you to stand up, right? And the reason why I want you to stand up is I want it to be your dedication to God, saying that this is something I will change, right? And you don't have to discuss it with anybody, right? You don't have to nobody's going to ask you, nobody's going to follow up with you. You found that moment. You found a bunch of moments where you thought, I have evaded this. It's uncomfortable, so I don't want to do it. Right? It takes my time, it takes my energy. Right? I will have to go week after week, month after month. I'll have to let my ego go and I have to have that conversation. Right? You found that moment. Right? And if you have, I just want you to stand up because I'm going to pray after. Right? And together we're going to make that dedication that I'm going to make that change this week. Right? If you have found that moment, right, just stand up, and together in about a minute or so, whenever you're led, I'll just pray for all of us together. Heavenly Father, for everybody in this room who is here, God, I thank you for this word. God, I thank you for putting this word upon our hearts. I thank you for your calling us, oh God, to be a living sacrifice, oh God, a sacrifice that on this earth we recognize, oh God, that we will be uncomfortable, but you will be with us through it, oh God. Oh God, I pray that you give us, oh God, the grace and the favor to be able to recognize these moments and to be able to say yes to them. Oh God, to be able to step forward and be ready to fight like David, oh God. The situation may not make any sense. Oh God, we may be uncomfortable to step into it. Oh God, or like Peter, we may require extraordinary faith to think that we could do this. We may be shy, we may be scared, oh God, but we know that you are there, oh God. I pray that you give us the favor and the strength to step into this, oh God, to step into our calling, oh God, because we know you're there with us in this, oh God. Oh God, may you give us not just this favor and the grace to sort of just start this and step into it, but to also finish it till the end, oh God. God, whatever we decide to step into, oh God, may you be with us till the end, that we don't just start it, but we finish it, oh God. Oh God, I thank you once again for this gathering here, oh God. I pray that you bless us, oh God, you protect everybody as they take this big decision this week, oh God. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.